Do you yearn for travel that involves outdoor adventure and learning? I do. I also have a passion for all things farming and agriculture. I've traveled to exotic jungles to learn about growing chocolate. I even once owned my own organic vegetable and sunflower farm. And now I'm planning my journey back to agriculture. Agritourism, defined as travel that involves some type of agricultural experience. Agritourism is all about entertaining. But the marketing strategist in me knows that at its core, agritourism is really about educating, and education affects change. My future farm needs to deliver a profound experience to all of its visitors. It needs to educate people about food, health, and climate. Join me to learn from experienced agritourism farmers and entrepreneurs and help me build my future farm strategy. And who knows, maybe one day soon you'll find yourself in a tropical jungle cutting open cacao pods with a machete, or savoring an outdoor plant-to-plate community dinner with 100 guests at a farm in Illinois. So let's tap into the agritourist in you. Over the past few months on the Agri-Tourist Podcast, we've talked a lot about what it means to connect people to agriculture. But this conversation really brings that idea to life. In this episode, I sit down with Collord, Board Director, and Haley Goulet, Farm Manager of Medway Community Farm, a farm that is doing so much more than growing food. They've created something that sits right at the intersection of education, food access, and community, and it's all rooted in a very intentional mission. What stood out to me in this conversation is how integrated everything is. From their school programming, where students are planning, growing, and harvesting, to their CSA models, farm stand, and food access programs. Nothing is happening in isolation. It's all connected, and that's not easy to do. It takes coordination, vision, and a deep understanding of the role a farm can play in a community. As you listen, I invite you to think about what a community farm really means. Because this isn't just about produce. It's about creating access, building relationships, and giving people a tangible connection to their food. And when you start to look at it through that lens, you begin to see just how impactful a farm like this can be. This is Jen Ross, your Agri-Tourist Podcast host. Please leave us a review, share this podcast, and subscribe. Enjoy my conversation with Medway Community Farm.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so happy to have you both on. I wanted to talk to you both today about Medway Community Farm. You guys are doing some amazing things. So I know, Carol, we've spoken already, but why don't we start out with you, Carol? If you could just tell me about you and how you got involved in, I know we spoke about this a little bit before, but for the podcast, if you could just tell me a little bit about you and how you got involved with Medway.
Sure. I've been involved with the farm since 2014, and actually started because I had gotten a coffee share, and so as a result, I was on their list, and they were looking for a treasurer. So I said, "Well, I can do that." So here I am, years later, still involved with the farm. But I think my passion for the farm started with really about maintaining that open space and being able to have that available to the community and as an ongoing asset, asset to the town. So at that point, I was involved for 3 years, and then really became much more passionate about the food part of it, the food and the education.
A question on that, though. Why was that so important to you? Like, what was it about that resonated with you, and that you felt that I want to get involved to create this or to expand this?
So I grew up on my parents owned 40 acres, and so it was awesome just to be able to go into the woods and go up to the pond and be able to explore nature for what it was, and knowing that not everybody has that.
Right.
During COVID, that became even more important because the farm became the spot that they asked us, could we have more activities on the farm? Because people need to be outside. They want that open space, and what a value it became.
Excellent. What's been in your involvement over the years and currently right now?
Sure. So I did a 3-year stint as the treasurer, and then during that time became involved with the fourth grade gardening program at the farm. So all this, just to give an update on that one, and I know that you'll be having a separate conversation, but all the fourth graders currently come to the farm for 3 sessions in the spring. And we start out going to the school for 1 session, and the kids at this point actually plant their own seeds. That was new, added last year or 2 years ago. I lose track of time. But they plant the seeds, and then those seeds are brought back once they've been planted, and then they are maintained in the greenhouse. So they're growing and ready for the kids in April for transplanting.
Excellent.
And then they have 3 sessions where they come back and they transplant, um, second session, the focus is really on weeding, watering, fertilizing, and then the last session is on harvesting. And during those, we're really maintaining the fourth grade science standards.
Yeah, your education program, and I've interviewed a lot of people, it definitely stands out. The integration into your school is pretty amazing. It's not just this add-on program where a lot of people bring in field trip, it's more of a field trip, or if it's more of a, we're going to have someone come in and do a gardening class with us and we're going to plant. This is a lot more integrated.
No, I think the impetus to get that started was actually one of the fourth grade teachers really wanted to get her students to the farm. So she and another teacher started the program with 2 of them coming. And then that expanded to 4 classes. And the principal then asked us to add all the classes, which is 8 in Medway, because she couldn't handle the requests of the parents saying, I want my kid in the class that's going to the farm.
Yeah, it's
so that was really very positive. And since then it's grown, and now the school has 16 beds at the school, and we go and help them with planting in September, and then they harvest in November.
excellent. 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 So,
So
Haley,
my role now,
yeah,
so
yes, yes.
fill in the gap. So I stayed on the board for 3 years, and then took a hiatus from that, but maintained working on the farm and stayed involved with the educational program and with doing some gardening on the farm. And during that time, I ended up getting my certification for Master Gardener, and then
Oh, wow.
established some programming on the farm, and worked with another master gardener, which is now how we have a plot that's really just dedicated to the food pantry.
That's terrific.
And then
Excellent.
they asked me to come back in 2019 as the president, and I've been in that role since then, and will be transitioning to a board role next month.
And doing some traveling.
And doing some traveling, yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes,
It's
I'm excited
exciting.
about that.
That's excellent. So, Haley, I want to just talk to you because you come from more of a farming background. And tell me a little bit, we can just let's talk about your background a little bit. And I want to talk to you about what attracted you to coming to Medway. Because, you have really great experience and probably had a lot of opportunities that you could have pursued in farming. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of need out there. What attracted you here, and what do you think are some of the opportunities? So just start off with you. Tell us about you.
Yeah, sure. So, well, I guess we'll start with my background a little bit.
Yep.
I've been farming since college. My degree and a lot of my background is in animal science and livestock farming. But all along the way, I've been growing vegetables in all manner of different operations, for-profit operations, nonprofit operations, lots of different scales of nonprofit operations. And the main vein through all of it was community education. So that kind of feeds into my desire to come to Medway because to me, though I love to grow food, I always want to get better at it. I always want to be doing it. It has to come with teaching people about that. Because if you're growing the food, that's great. If people are eating the food, that's great. But if they don't know why they're doing it, you're missing a huge leg of the puzzle. Um, so to me, Medway is doing all three of those things really well, which is why I want to be here and sort of grow their mission.
Just to understand that a little bit more. So what is it about the education, or, the impact that you're having that's inspired you through the years? Because obviously some of your previous opportunities in farming have allowed you that, time to educate people. But what was it? Like I know for me, I'll never forget the moment where I had these kids. We had this disability garden with raised beds, and I had the kids around, and we, when you pull that carrot out, or when that child pulls that carrot out, and they actually realize where a carrot comes from, or when they take that mint, leaf of the mint plant and they sniff it and they're like, wow, mint is a real thing. It's a real plant. It's not some artificial flavor. Those moments for me, not even just for the kids, like I just absolutely, like, I'll never forget those moments of realization that comes along with it. So what is it about that connection you're making with people?
Yeah. Uh, I think one of the first moment that popped into my head when you said that I always sort of like come back to when I'm thinking about what I'm doing was actually tapping maple trees with a Girl Scout group. And we were like in the woods, in the snow. They're up to basically their hips in the snow. And we're just all there doing it, and they're so excited. And yeah, that was the moment I was like, well, I can't give this up ever. I just got to find new, different ways to do it. And yeah, the growing aspect of it and the eating the vegetables part of it is huge too.
Yep.
Like watching people take the first bite of like a well-grown local carrot. They're like, whoa, this is not what I buy at Stop and Shop. What is this? And I'm like, let's talk about it. What's going into that that's different?
Yep.
Those are the conversations I love to have.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So your new title is what?
Farm manager.
Okay. So what does that mean? Because that's a load. It's one of those titles that, as I know, what does that mean in your new role? Like, what are you in charge of at the farm?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Farm manager can be a lot of things. It is a lot of things. For me, the primary role at Medway is just growing great produce and getting it to people, and managing the team helping to do that. Because obviously that is not a one-man sport. That is a huge coordinated team effort to get a meaningful volume of produce to people who need it and want it. Yeah.
So what are you going to be in charge of? I know you guys have a CSA, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. You've managed CSAs before? They're so much fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we have a couple of CSA
There's
models.
good and bad.
Totally. Very much so.
It's very structured.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crops to, be managing, and when something doesn't grow right,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's a very I find you have to be very disciplined in managing a CSA. So how, like, so that's one component of what you're managing. Like, what else? What are the other components of the growing that's going on? And what opportunities, like when you were looking at this opportunity and you see they have a CSA, like what's your, do you have a personal vision for how you'd like to, or what you'd like to do with that CSA or whatever other components that you're managing?
Yeah. So we actually have a couple different models of CSAs, which, is,
okay.
lots of farms do that. They have different models, but we have quite a few different models of CSA going on. One of which is free choice CSA.
Carol, are you laughing or are you?
She is laughing at me.
Right. It really has evolved, and I'm enjoying listening to how Haley is describing it.
No, that's why she has such a fresh perspective, and
Good,
I think
right.
it's
I'm
good
loving it.
because there's a reason you were attracted to this farm, and
Mhm.
when we come in, everything's not always perfect, and we need, you're bringing your expertise in refining some things, expanding some things, maybe eliminating some things or morphing some things. A
Mhm.
lot of models of CSA is not easy to manage. I mean, I personally know that. So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the solution with so many different models is grow a lot of produce. Um, and then,
Yep.
yeah. But we have a model called the free choice model, which
Hmm.
kind of eliminates some of the structure that goes with the traditional CSA, where you're coming, you're picking up a box, and the farmer is planning months out ahead of time. Okay, I'm going to put like 3 pounds of carrots in that, 2 heads of lettuce. So I have to grow this much to feed this many people. The free choice CSA is pretty unique in that people can come to the farm stand and kind of essentially buy what they want with a prepaid card. Um, so we'll definitely encourage people to come very regularly throughout the season. And
So let
it
me
gives
ask you
them
about that.
choice. Sure.
So I don't know how much it is, but they buy this card, they buy a card basically, and the
Essentially the
card,
cost of a CSA.
okay. Is
Yeah.
it one for one, or do they buy it for, like, I'm making the price up. If they bought it for 500, are they getting 525 worth of produce, or is it a one for one? How does that work?
So I think any CSA model, the hope is that they're getting over the value of what they're paying at the start
Right.
of the season. It's part of the benefit to the customer
Yep.
of buying a CSA is that you help us out at the start of the season, and then we give you more
Right.
value throughout the
Yep.
season.
Yep.
So in that sense, it'll be comparable to the regular CSA.
Okay. And so you're using that model. And when they come in, are they like shopping in a way?
Yep. Yeah, we have a really sweet little farm stand that I'm excited to get more into because I've only been in once at this moment. Um, but we also have like a retail store element to it. So it'll be CSA customers and
Nice.
walk-up customers throughout the season.
That's great. Excellent. Anything else with the CSA that you're evolving?
The one thing that I do love to do in the more traditional sort of style CSA is still provide some elements of choice. I think it's like a big draw for people.
Yeah.
When they're buying a CSA, that's the number one thing I hear is people are like, "Oh man, you gave me a box of vegetables, and what the heck is a celeriac? I didn't want this." So giving them some flexibility even in the
Yeah.
traditional box, so they hopefully I can tell them why the celeriac's so good and they still take it, but they're choosing it.
Excellent. Excellent. And do you guys do any other perks or anything with your CSA customers just to involve them in the farm in other respects outside of just coming to get the produce?
Mm,
Do you want
um,
me to take that one, Haley?
yeah, that'd be great.
So one of the other things that we really encourage is for people to become members of the farm. And with that membership, especially if you have your own garden, we have a members only night for the seedling sale. And I'm sure Haley probably wants to talk more about the seedling sale, but for the seedling sale, you can come on Friday and get the first dibs on the seedlings.
Ah,
So that has been like the major perk that people have really appreciated. We are looking at more educational programming so that there's a discount to the members versus to the general public as well.
right. Excellent.
Mhm.
So seedling sale. Haley, you want to talk to me about that?
Yeah, seedling sales are always so much fun. It's sort of the welcome into spring, I think, for a lot of folks, maybe they've done a little bit of garden prep before they come to get our seedlings, but um, a true sign of spring for
Yep.
folks who come every year. and, plan their gardens around what they're going to come get at the seedling sale. Um,
Yeah, I
Nice,
love,
healthy.
yeah,
Mm.
healthy plant. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's life, you know. It's one of my
absolutely.
favorite times. Well, actually now is usually starting the favorite time in the greenhouse and stuff.
Yeah, we
When you
started the
start,
first plants yesterday.
yeah, I love that. It's just so much fun. I know
Absolutely.
people are like, you're crazy, but
Yes.
so okay, so we have the CSA. What else? So you have the retail store, you have the store itself, and what does that, I mean, so you're managing that as well. Like what does that involve? Are you bringing in, I presume you're bringing in a lot of local product. Do you have any, do you do any pies or anything that you produce there?
Um, yeah, so we do have like a couple value added products with our produce, hot sauce and salsa, at the moment. Um, and we do buy in some products, but I think the goal is always to mainly feature your own produce,
Yep.
and what you're growing on the farm. That's why the farm's there, right? Um, so, but some things, there are limiting factors. We probably won't be growing corn for a while. It's a tough crop that needs a lot of space and a lot of labor. So that's where we rely on some of our farm friends to help us support our community with some of those types of
Yeah, no,
products.
definitely. That's definitely a tough crop.
Mm.
Um, Carol, actually, I'll ask you, outside of the produce, which is the main focus, are there any products that you guys are making that, like, do you have like something unique to Medway that you guys produce that's your signature product that, or baked good or sauce or something that you guys make?
So we have had the hot sauce, like Haley has said, we've had that now for many years. And so that has been a good seller. Haley has some nice ideas about going forward, adding pesto or adding tomato sauce to the line, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
We don't have the food license to do it ourselves. However, we are looking at doing some low scale, and we have an area adjacent to our farmhouse where we're looking to kind of make that more of a kitchen. I don't know that we'll ever get to the full commercial kitchen,
Right.
but that's one of the things that we are looking at long term.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So hot sauce.
And you're talking about pies. We do bring in a lot of other items, and we have a vendor, a local person who makes pies. So
Excellent.
we do bring them in to the farm stand, and
Yeah.
they've been very popular. So we're trying to add things that will um, bring a larger footprint into the store, so
Yeah.
that the more people that come to the store for whatever reason, the more that they will purchase.
And you're helping to expose other local artisans.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I think
that's
that
what it's about.
one of the other items that has been very popular has been our honey.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so, because we've had bees on the hives on the farm now for probably since the beginning, like 2010. And so now that honey is spun and we have it available in the farm stand.
Do you have a master, what do they
A
call them?
beekeeper?
Yeah, like, I know there's
Yes.
a title too. I don't want to,
Yeah.
do you have someone who comes and does that for you, or do you guys have, or the expertise within your,
No, no, no,
yeah.
no, no. So,
Yeah, I know. That's not
so
something
we
I
do
ever
have,
wanted to venture in.
and it's kind of one of those relationships that the beekeepers really need a space for their bees, and so
Yes.
these bees they are owned by the beekeeper.
Yes.
And part of the arrangement is that that honey comes back to the farm.
That's great.
Mhm.
So that works out really well. We are beginning another program that I'm sure you'll probably want to talk to Marley about with bees. And we did just get a grant for a demonstration hive for bees
That's
because
great.
when we have our fourth grade program, the bees has always attracted the kids so that they're very, very enthusiastic about learning more about the pollinators in general.
And that is such an important piece to learn, right? You know, so critical. Okay, excellent. So, okay, so we have our retail store, we have the CSA. Haley, what else is on your agenda?
Farmers markets, of course.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Tell me about, so do you host one or do you go out to a farmer's market? And because I know that's also a challenge for farms because there's a
Yeah.
lot of labor. We never factor in the labor and time that it
Hmm.
takes to go out and bring stuff to it, but yet there's that community support and, brand
Yeah.
awareness that comes along with it. So give me your perspective on that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's a somewhat natural farm arc to like start in farmers markets to get your name out there. You're there for a few years and then you hit a point in your selling that you're like, okay, the labor's not worth it anymore,
Yeah.
and you bring it back into home base. But at the same time, as a community farm, we should be out there in the community and our
Right.
neighboring communities and bringing produce closer to people who need to access it. I think that's kind of something people might not always think about with farmers markets is when you're bringing your produce there, people who can't get to your farm can get there to get your
Right.
produce. Um, we do have aspirations. They're currently just aspirations of hosting a farmer's market at some point in the future. But obviously, that takes labor and time too to plan it, bring
Yeah.
other folks in, get the right
Yes. It's a whole
licensing and all.
project.
Oh, yeah, totally. Um,
Now, my ideal would be that the farmers market is at the farm, run by a separate and distinct farm market manager.
Okay.
It does not have to be necessarily somebody on the farm,
Right.
but so somebody who can manage it, but that we would provide the location.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, yeah, that would be terrific. So is the farm like I'm not as familiar with your area just on the physical map. Are you very close to the center of the community or are you kind of on the outskirts of the community? The physical farm.
I think we're fairly close.
Okay.
Yeah, Medway is actually it's pretty tight. There's not
Yeah.
You're going across town. It doesn't take. I live on the other side of town. It takes me about 7 minutes to get to the farm. It's not that far. And last year we had to step out of doing farmers markets, but we did our own pop-up markets on Main Street, and that was only a few minutes away. And the right on Main Street, they've already told us that we can go ahead and do another pop-up this year.
So does Medway have a farmer's market right now, like their own? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you are basically it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So when you say other markets, you're going like out of that community. Okay. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
it's hard. So are you going to participate in any this year?
Oh, yeah, we're still in the application process for a lot of them, so we're not entirely sure where we are going to land, but with any luck, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have markets, a CSA, a retail store. I know you guys do events as well. Haley, are you in charge of those as well?
Not most of them. The seedling sale, yes. Since that's coming right out of our greenhouse, it's not going far. We're just welcoming people in. But the other ones I definitely have less involvement in.
And anything else? Now, does education fall under you as well? Okay.
It's not.
So,
I think that one of the major things, though, is really looking at food security and the donations. So I'm sure Haley wants to touch on that. But also, if you could talk about the community shares and our involvement with SNAP and HIP.
oh yeah, very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, the other CSA leg that holds us up is the community shares. So the community shares are something we offer with the DTA. And we bring shares at a lower cost to folks that they can pay for through their HIP dollars each month.
Can you just define DTA for anyone who may not know?
Yes, and Carol, correct me because I'm still learning the community shares myself, but the Department Transport Authority?
Transitional
Transitional.
assistance. Right.
So close to the T one. Um,
So we collaborate with the Council on Aging, but we
Okay.
have to have our own memo of understanding with the Department of Transitional Assistance in order for us to receive the HIP funding directly from the people who hold the SNAP funds. So,
Okay.
so say you're a customer and you want to have a share for the summer. You can sign up on this agreement form, and every month then your HIP dollars, which in the state of Massachusetts, if you're on SNAP, you're automatically in HIP. But for every dollar that you spend on fresh food, fresh vegetables and fruits, it automatically goes right back into your SNAP account.
Right.
So
Yes.
basically, people are getting $40 a month of free fresh vegetables and fruits.
That's
So
great. That
by providing that
Massachusetts
to the
does a lot.
CSA, right,
Yeah.
through the CSA. So every week we either deliver to the housing authorities or people will pick it up at the farm stand, and the funding for that comes directly out of their HIP funds.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm working on, because it's a kind of a company change with Nurse Farm. I'm working on getting them re-signed up with Snap
Right.
and all of there's a lot. There's a lot. It's a lot, it's a lot. I remember down here in New York when we had a whole program, and the farmers market nutrition program, and there was a lot involved with that.
Mhm.
But I think it's so critical. It is
Mhm.
so critical.
And we collaborate with the Council on Aging so that if they also help to support and educate people to get them into the program.
Okay. So is the Council on Aging a Massachusetts thing, or is it something in your community?
I think every town has one,
Every
but
town. Okay, yeah, because
um,
I don't.
town and city, I'm I'm just assuming everybody has that, but
I'm
everywhere
gonna
I've
look
been, they've
into
got
it.
the
I'm
Council on Aging.
Yeah, no, I'm
Your
not
senior
sure.
centers, all that is
Okay.
tied within the same thing.
Okay.
And they have outreach coordinators so that they're actually out there working in the community. They're tied into the people who need funding and assistance.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
And then Haley will be going to like the senior center to give talks about the programming too.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Haley, how do you feel about those programs? Like what's your stance on that, and how it may need to expand even?
Yeah, I mean, the more we can grow that program, like the more we will. Like, I think it's an amazing program, and hopefully we have a lot more capacity in us to continue to do that moving forward, you know?
At your previous farms, were you involved in HIP and SNAP and all that? Like, did
Yeah,
you find that many farms are taking on that role?
I think it is very challenging to work with SNAP and HIP in order to get these programs off the ground. Because
That's
I've
the sad part, and that it should not be. That's the
totally
problem.
no. So the fact that Medway is already executing it is amazing. And it's, I think, a lot easier to grow something like that than it is to start executing it with SNAP and HIP specifically. Because I have been at farms where I've tried really hard to get these things off the ground and just hit brick wall after brick wall after brick wall. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I might
And
need to.
we've been involved with this program. It was called the pilot program. I think it's still called the pilot program, but since 2017, I think. So we've been working with it for quite a while, like 9 years.
Okay.
This will be our ninth year.
I might be consulting with you because no, because it's a whole new learning curve. Obviously, it's a different state, and yeah, I there's a
Yeah,
lot I
but
have
the
to figure
SNAP
out.
regulations are federal and like the paperwork and yes, you have to dot your I's, cross your T's and call and call and call.
Yeah, especially now. So, yeah,
Right.
so yeah, I'm but I think like I said, I think it's so important.
Mhm.
Now, as far as donations go, are there any other programs that you're involved in, or any other ways that you're involved in the community or outside the community?
I believe a lot of our donations, and Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's two food pantries in Medway, and most of our produce donations go directly to them
Mhm.
through the Master Gardener program heavily, but also through our, you know, any extra veggies. We're not trying to waste anything, and we're growing in excess to donate to them. Um,
Do the pantries do education on how to use produce? Because the farm that I was involved with, part of our farm, basically their mission was to donate to food pantries. And we always had the challenge, they always came back to us and they're like, they don't know what to do with whatever, Swiss
mm,
chard, you know. And so we actually ended up getting Cornell Cooperative involved, their nutrition piece, and there were like educators that came out and helped with that. But I find sometimes people don't know what to do with it and may not have the means to do with it. So it's just
mhm.
something that was always this constant challenge, that we were trying to tackle.
I can speak to that probably a little bit more just because I've got the
Yep.
history with two food pantries. And I think that the food pantries are on a trajectory to really move forward in a very positive way. Because the food pantries have been very different. They have agreed to consolidate, and so they will become one food pantry this year.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's happening this summer.
That's great.
It is. It's wonderful. The clientele is very different at both of those food pantries. So one of them, which was based out of one of the housing authority complexes, it was much more elderly focused and people who wanted meat and potatoes. No, and the herb, they'll take basil. The other food pantry is much more diverse population, really ranging in age from teens to the elderly, many languages spoken, and they do a lot of outreach with the clientele, the and education in terms of what to do with the food. But the people are much more aware of what to do with the food. They also have a lot of information. Their information is translated into various languages too, so that
Oh, wow.
they can accommodate a lot of the people that are coming through. They've had to cap off for the last 2 years because they're currently working out of a church so they can only be open on Saturday mornings, and their storage capacity has been very limited. So by moving and consolidating, they've already begun construction on the place where they're going to be moving to, and really trying to model it into something that becomes much more of a positive shopping experience for people. And I would imagine that they would be able to even take more of the produce and some of the offerings that we have because their refrigeration has been much more limited in the space that they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that it's on a very positive moving forward. Before we could only deliver it like either late Friday afternoon, or we used to start delivering at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And that was always the farm manager's job. So Haley, you'll be glad to know that doesn't happen anymore.
Definitely.
And so now with having that open and having, which would probably be midsummer, their goal is midsummer. Our ability to deliver and having produce that's fresh at that
Right.
time will expand. So I think that their
Excellent.
hours may change too. So it's all a work in progress right now.
But in a good, like you said,
A
a
very
good
good way.
trajectory. Yeah. So
Right, very
that's
good
great
way.
news. That's
Yeah.
excellent. Okay.
I
Excellent.
think that we also offer office shares. And Haley, I
Mhm.
don't know if you've immersed yourself enough in that at this point to talk about it.
Probably not quite yet.
So we're working with various corporations in town, companies in town, so that we would actually deliver shares to their offices. That's an
Nice.
area that I think we have more capacity building that we can do, but it started a few years ago where we had the contract with UMass and really delivered a lot of shares there.
Oh,
They've still
nice.
pulled back just because of what's going on in the UMass environment. But we've been able to establish other companies that we've been able to go to and do some deliveries.
That's great. Great idea.
So I think it's
Absolutely.
really get the food out there, get people understanding what fresh food is all about.
Yep.
I had to
Absolutely.
laugh about what the carrot experience because we have a group of high school kids that comes every fall. And one year they came when it was eggplant was being harvested. And I remember the kids stuffing their pants pockets with eggplant and asking me, how can this one be prepared? What do I tell my dad? How do I cook this one tonight? It's like they're excited, but they've got pockets stuffed with eggplant running up and down the field.
That's great. That is great. So you guys don't have any animals at the farm, correct?
Just a few chickens hanging out.
So, Haley, what are you going to do? Where are you getting your fix of animals? Because I know from your past, animals are a passion. And I figured there might be some, either something in the works or you're getting your fix elsewhere.
I think for now it's getting the fix elsewhere.
Okay.
That's a whole can to open up maybe one day, but well, I was a vegetarian for 14 years before I was raising meat. So veggies are my first love.
Yeah.
And the meat really came as just out of a desire to teach people how that happens.
Right.
Which,
Exactly.
I can still teach people about meat and access to that and how it happens at a veggie farm,
Okay. Excellent. So, Haley, what are you most excited about coming to the farm and being new in this position? What's exciting you every day?
Yeah, I think Medway is really coming into a pretty awesome sort of season of growth, era of growth. And, it's a pretty young community farm in this area. And I think there's so much that Medway is doing and so many places it can go. Um, so I'm excited for that potential, to be honest, and hoping take it there.
So, Carol, tell me what you're excited about with Haley coming into this position.
The Haley's here. We're very excited about with having Haley, and I think as well we're starting out the year probably with our most solid leadership team on the farm than we've had in years. So Haley's been able to bring in. We now have 3 assistants, and she'll be working on getting her crew in as well. But I feel as though that the support is finally there
Right.
for the farm managers. So as we're talking about all these various programs, and Haley's getting her feet on the ground, she also has people who can support her and work in that direction. Last year we worked for the most part without a farm manager, and so the board members really got the opportunity to understand and appreciate what the work of the farm is. And I think that now has come full circle in that the appreciation of the farm manager has really blossomed.
Perfect timing, Haley.
Certainly.
They really are embracing you because when you realize the work involved and you're not, Carol, as you just said, there's a lot. But obviously, Carol, your leadership over the last several years has gotten to this place where Haley is able to come in and have an infrastructure to work with and just build off of. So, I'm sure everyone is grateful for that as well. Amazing leadership.
We actually have a fabulous board.
Yes.
It's they have strength in so many different areas.
Yep.
And so pulling all that together is
But
how
someone
we
needs to lead
create
them,
this.
and we don't, there is, I'm sure they are, but there needs to be the person that pulls all those strengths, and figures out how to utilize all them and put them into action. So kudos to you for that. That's pretty amazing. I wanted to bring up the agritourism piece. And Haley, we've gone back and forth, we were talking back and forth in email, my stance about agritourism, there's a lot of ways to bring people into farms. And when I focus, I think of agritourism as an opportunity to educate people, so however you end up getting them there, whether it's for music, as Carol, we were talking about, or a trail that they can walk the farm, on their own, or it's just the farm store or a CSA, whatever it is, it's an opportunity to open someone's eyes to what's happening and the impact of what you're doing. One of the things that I was talking to Stacy about, at Metro West Tourism was we talked about, coming up with some type of self-guided agritourism trail or, agriculture trail. One of the things that, we were talking about is when people visit, though, we want them to be able to see a farm and not not have a big closed sign, because some farms they're more closed off and for whatever reason, whatever their operation is. But obviously, your farm is on the list, so she will be reaching out to you. But I know you guys have a trail that you want to reinvigorate, that you have to do some work on. I know we do at Nurse Farm as well. We need to work on some things. But do you want to talk about that trail or that, I don't know if you can hike it or, it's just a walking trail and the purpose of that for the farm?
So that trail was actually created by an Eagle Scout.
Which is great.
We have a lot of Eagle Scout and Girl Scout activity on the farm. So that's like one more way that we get involved with the community.
Yep.
But that trail was created many years ago. It was before I got involved with the farm, and it goes through a wooded area and around the circumference of the farm. And we used to have signs that we want to revitalize and revise so that they're actually pointing in the right direction. Because we've moved so many things around.
Yeah, absolutely.
The signs now don't make sense. And so that's a piece that we will want to continue to improve on, is really what is the experience that people would have. Another Eagle Scout program that another project that was done this past year was creating an educational space in the woods. And so it's a beautiful area where they've got the blackboard and they've got the seating for the kids or for any adult. Actually, our first program there was a religious sermon. So it was really interesting, the various ways that can be used. So we do encourage groups. It's just, if it's going to be a group, we'd like to know that they're going to be on the farm and what the responsibilities are. And we're basically open from dawn to dusk. But it's really trying to know where people are from a liability perspective.
Absolutely. No, that's always the case. Haley, did you want to comment on any of that? Like, what is your take on agritourism and things going on at farms and bringing people to farms from an education perspective?
Yeah, I mean, the access to open space piece of it is so critical, which, it sounds like is what originally brought you to the farm, Carol. It's hard to welcome people into an active farm sometimes. I mean, there are so many safety risks that go along with farming and having a large amount of people around while you're moving tractors, you're moving equipment, and the produce safety side of it too as well. Like, you don't want a million people running through your vegetable fields, but at the same time, you want to welcome them to your vegetable fields. So there's a lot to balance with that idea, I think, and there are some safe ways to go about it, and just having open space, I think, is a great way to start.
Have people, Carol, been using that trail in the past outside
as much as we'd like but it is listed on the town's website for what it is, one of the trails in town.
Oh, so perfect.
And it is on the website. So if you are looking for one of the trails, I think Haley's made a very, very good point. We've never allowed people actually into the fields, the vegetable fields part. And if anything, it would be like the flower garden and the herb garden, and trying to set that up more as a more welcoming area for people to go to.
Absolutely. And that has to be a priority. Even with what we do at Nurse, the trail is set in a certain way. It's exposing maybe the raspberry area or the blueberry. It's not exposing, unless it's a pick your own area, like a flower area or something like that. But it's definitely, it's strategic, but it gives people enough exposure and, feel like they're walking, they're seeing, and some of the scenery is absolutely beautiful. So, and again, educational, given the signs and stuff like that. But so I know she'll be talking to you. It's more of it's more of something that they would publish where you're on a map. But you want, if people are going to visit, them to have things to be exposed to. Obviously, during business hours, like it's not, dawn to dusk type of thing. But something to consider. I just wanted to let you guys know that. So any other thoughts, anything else, Haley, that you wanted to say about your upcoming season?
Right now, I just want the snow to melt to get some stuff in the tunnels. It's about all I can think about.
What are you planting right now?
Well, a lot in the greenhouse, it's a lot of onions, the storage crop of onions, and a couple brassicas, trying to get some into the spring CSA.
Yeah, it's always, the spring is always that, it's a stressful time
for
farmers.
Yeah, you want to get it in as soon as you can and not a moment later.
And is it a heated greenhouse, or is it just a hoop house?
Our greenhouse is heated, and then we have a couple nice hoop houses that are not heated.
Yeah. We didn't have, in my original farm, we didn't have a heated greenhouse. So the stress of watching the temperature, I don't want to ever repeat that again.
No,
it was
I bet
so stressful. Like you had the tomatoes planted and you're seeing the temperature all of a sudden drop, and it's like, not fun.
Yeah, no, we're definitely fortunate to have some really good infrastructure
That's great
coming into this year. With the greenhouse, we have bathrooms now, just built a new pavilion.
Yes.
We're going into this season really excited.
Excellent. And Carol, do you want to sum up with any words of wisdom or any?
Well, I think that we talked about the shares, but our season really is a 34-week season because, as Haley just mentioned, we have the spring share.
Yeah.
So we have spring, and then we have summer, and then right from there we go into fall. So we close on Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. So we really do hit the whole gamut of the growing season.
Yep.
So that people get exposed to vegetables and all throughout the year. It's when they call and ask if our lemons are ready. It's like, oh, another teaching point.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that Haley said that well. Everything really is a teaching point, more than anything, so that people understand what it is that we're doing. There's always that opportunity to go out there and tell people what farming is all about.
Yeah.
And I do want to make one final point, is that I don't know if you know, but this is the United Nations it's their national year for the women farmers.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's really trying to go out there and promote what the role women have played in farming and what their role currently is, and how they really are supporting, especially food access, that there's a huge proportion of women that are involved in food access.
Okay. Excellent. Got to do some research on that. Excellent. Well, it is a pleasure. I definitely want to visit you. So
look forward to seeing you on the farm.
Come by.
I'm going to definitely get out there. So I love to meet people in person, and I love to experience people's farms. So I will definitely be in touch. And then we'll do our follow-up education. I definitely want to hear more about the education and the impact you're having on these kids, which is pretty amazing. And Haley, best of luck this season.
Thank you.
I know you're going to be dynamite and knock it out of the park. And I'm excited to hear on the back end how it went. We'll do a follow-up interview and to see how the season went.
Sounds like a plan.
Always amazing.
Yes. All right. Well, ladies, have a good rest of the week, and I will be in touch soon.
Good luck on your travels.
Enjoy your time, your vacation, your work vacation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Haley. I appreciate it. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
I hope our Agri-Tourist podcast prompts you to think more about where your food comes from. whether it be your vegetables, fruits, meats, and even those sweet treats. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with someone you think may truly benefit from or be inspired by it. Visit us at agri-tourist.com. Until next time.